One thing I figured out was that each time I was having a bad experience, a nightmare or an encounter, it would be hard for me to tell if I was sleeping or it was reality. Now, while lying down in the parlor with the duvet covered, but unfortunately I was laying upwards, and I already sensed the atmosphere change. I managed to open just one eye, and when I opened that eye, a tall man stood before me. I couldn't see his face, and I would not tell you he was hiding it. I would blame it on the fact that I was afraid to behold him fully. He stretched out his hand to me. That was when I realized his hand had more than 5 fingers, and they were extremely long and dirty. I can't really tell if I actually stretched out my hand, because that would have been an unwise thing to do. Still gripped in fear, the moment he stretched out that hand, we appeared in a totally different realm, identical to this place. But the only difference there was I felt a funny feeling in my body, and I could also tell that I wasn't pregnant in this realm. I was compelled to follow him to wherever he was going to. I totally lost control of myself, and I had no free will. We got to a particular bush, and that place, there wasn't any day at that point. At that time I was there, the sky was fully dark and there were no stars. These were the only few things I could pick. So we got to a bush. That bush felt as though people were looking at us. He was already used to this system, but I was new to it. So every slightest thing would scare me to my veins, but unfortunately I would not be able to react to anything. We got to a place, a house in the middle of nowhere, and we entered. I followed after him. When we got into this house that took the same likeness to a duplex, the outer view was much smaller to the inner view. Now, the inside view could take the replica of an entire palace, pure gold, but in an ancient liking. He stood right before a throne. I stood too. I could not move. I totally didn't have any control of my body in that place. Someone that resembled my best friend came into the place from nowhere. She didn't come through the door. It was as though she was living in that palace. It was as though she had an authority in that palace. It was as though the palace was her home. This person that took the form of my best friend walked up to the throne, sat on that throne, and made a hand gesture. And that was when this tall man left my side. When she sat on that throne, everywhere went calm. It was as though everybody, the things I could not see, were also paying attention to her. Then she pointed into a plain space. Then, as though a projector was playing, and the man that broke my heart appeared on that projector. In that video I saw, he was with his family, a boy and a girl. The boy was much like 7 years, and the little girl was just close to 3 or 2, thereabouts, the new learners in walking and talking. This man with his 2 children were eating the fruit, apple. Then I watched his wife walk into the scene as though she went in to bring cucumber and more apples. Another scene was played where he was talking with his guys in an eat-out area. He was telling them of a particular lady he just met, who was claiming Sister Mary unto say she had not yet been with a man, and he even found out that she was telling the truth. But his greatest prize was to break that girl, after which he would flee. I also found out while watching that projector play that it was his mini fetish to watch women in pain and agony, meaning that he would promise them marriage, he would get married to them, under the rule that none would post his pictures because he claimed anything on social media would always go down, meaning failure. I also found out that I wasn't even the only girl he had messed with in the past. And he would most times go for this hunt each time his wife wasn't in Nigeria. While watching all this, I found out that his own friends were also into this hunt. I felt my heart rip off for the second time. Tears ran down my cheek uncontrollably, and the projector was taken away from my sight.